Hi everybody, welcome back to the Breaking Even podcast, and I am here with D-Rilla. How are we doing today? Let's go.
I'm blessed and grateful to be here, man.
Let's do this, bro. I feel like you've got an interesting path into the scene these days because you kind of came up in just before the UK hip hop era, like the primetime hip hop era. So it's like just before Kalashnikov, startings of Skinny Man. So in terms of that generation, how did you kind of come in to start rapping in that era?
Boy, I started rapping in before that, to be fair.
Really?
But it's just that's when I kind of peaked. You understand? So that was my active time. So I think that my writing capabilities peaked there in regards to how I was writing then, and I was most active around them times. So it's just being active in it. That's how you get on the scene, by being active.
Yeah, I feel like in that sense, being active just meant different things. So like even then, this was the case where demos were kind of still a thing simply because of that's how you get your music out. Do you feel as in that era coming up in terms of trajectory? Because for example, demos were a thing back then. The way of getting yourself out there and being active is kind of different to what it is now in terms.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like, you had to be signed to a label, be it independent or major, to get any sort of distribution, to get really any sort of airplay or radio play. But I would say around that time you had Ras Kwame. Actually, just after that, actually, Ras Kwame used to do a show where you could send your music in, and I won a competition on there. And Phoebe One done the same thing on Choice, and I won on there.
Okay, yeah.
That was the kind of way to get airplay, was really those competitions. And they used to do one where you used to call up and then battle over the phone.
Okay.
Our man's all in a payphone, you know,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
wait, £1, £2, £3. Hurry up, you understand?
I've got more bars left. I've got more bars left. Wait. Let me add it.
That's me on hold room, boy. You understand? I ain't even started spitting yet. You understand? So
You've got a 64 bar loaded
hey,
and you're in the holding waiting
I'm
time. That's
telling
dark.
you, bro. You're just hoping to get picked. You get me? So that, yeah. So I would say, yeah. It's nowadays. It's a lot more internet. You've got internet. Internet changed the game, as we all know. You feel me? So I do feel that artists have a lot more control in regards to getting their music out there now and being seen and being heard.
Do you feel like you'd want to go back to the way things were at any point? Or do you just feel like we've come such a long way, the way things work now is so much better for the artists?
The only positives of the way things were before would be if you were signed to a major deal, then you were selling records and CDs, so your money was going to be a little more than what you're getting from Spotify. So from direct record sales, that's the only thing I would say was a positive when it comes to the structure of the industry.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. In terms of what you're doing now, in terms of making music again, do you feel like you still kind of have like, okay, cool. Yes, all of these internet marketing strategies exist, but I'm still comfortable with selling CDs at the boot of the trunk, like.
I was never comfortable doing that, and I never did that. I'll be honest with you. If anything, I gave CDs away. I'm not really one to just be hustling in that kind of way to make people buy my CDs in that kind of way. You get me? Because after themselves, when people used to be outside Foot Locker or Oxford Street at HMV, they're forcing a sell, and I never want to beg a man to listen to my music in that kind of way. So I've been a bit too prideful to be doing that way. You get me? So no, like I said, at the end of the day, when it comes down to money, which is what it's all about, direct record sales back then, they were taking a higher percentage, but boy, them record labels were taking a lot less from you than what the Spotify is. You get me?
Yeah.
So like I said, like I think the way things are now is much better, and I think the proof is in the pudding. We've got more bigger UK hip hop artists, or even just UK artists, than we ever had back then. So you know,
and I think it's also a case of back then, a lot of international markets didn't really know what to do with us. Like when we were trying to ship our R&B artists out there, for
let's not
example.
forget international. British labels, anything to do with British, we're not investing in UK hip hop, full stop.
Yeah.
So let's forget about international. If anything, the international, there's T.I. that come and got Chip.
Yeah.
Do you understand me? So the international showed more interest. It's freaking, what is it? What's his name? Kanye got Estelle. So forget international. There was no support from the UK market. Listen, UK is a dance music scene and was always like that. You had your happy hardcore, you had your drum and bass, you had your jungle, then you had your garage, then you had your house, and you had your grime.
Like acid house specifically as well.
So it's a dance nation, So Solid got number 1, dance music. General Levy number 4, jungle music. It's all part of that same genre. So if you weren't doing dance music, there was no investment into the music. We had certain artists that got a little bit of a push, but there was never no development. Let's research the market and what's the best way to package this artist and make them do the most they can. They just said, well, we tried, it didn't work, on to the next.
I think that's probably the most aggravating thing. And I think even now that that problem is kind of carried on. You as the artist, like, yeah, I make good music. And the label will turn around and say, well, we don't know how to market this. And it's like, isn't that your job?
Yeah, but that's not, they don't, boy, I'll be honest with you. How the industry now is, that is our job. We've got to show them that there's a market, a demand for us.
Okay,
They
yeah.
pick you up, invest money, and then further expand you. That's how the market is. But on the flip side, you now have the opportunity and the resources to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down.
It's an interesting point where it's like, you can go a lot further on your own than you could before. It's like, you almost don't really need to sign until you get to like a Central C sort of stage. Before then, it's like, I can do all of this on my own for the most part. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to be really tiring. It's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. But do you feel like it puts more of the control in your hands?
100%. Like I said, getting music out there. Imagine someone in China able to listen to my music. 20 years ago, that was only through a distribution deal. In order to get a distribution deal, you needed either great money in your pocket or backing from a major label.
Yeah.
Do you understand? My mum can go studio today. She doesn't have to go studio. She can download the app, record something, upload it to Spotify, distro kid, distribute it, and someone in China can listen to her music. So it shows how much control we now have, and I feel like it's in the artist's hands too. But at the same time, not everyone is built for this life. Meaning you have to know how to market yourself. You have to understand, you know, about your appearance, about the quality of music, about being consistent on social media, understanding trends. And my kind of artist, I don't really deal with trends, but as a younger artist, you got to understand all these trends, but marketing and everything else, that's important, and not everyone is built like that. So there still is a need for it, but I'd say potentially more management level need more than actual record label in order to be seen and heard.
Yeah. So in terms of like just modern context, where do you think like the hip hop artist in the UK now exists? Like, do you feel like there's still like a hip hop of infrastructure in the UK? Because obviously you can see like High Focus Records is still running, things like that.
I wouldn't say, you know what it is, because the UK hip hop scene is a bit, because there's been so many different genres and eras and vibes and it's not like America. They just put everything all as hip hop, but we drill is drill.
Grime is grime. Garage is garage.
Exactly. And then you've got hip hop over the other side. You understand? So I would say, what was the question again? Even
I would say, is there still like an infrastructure for like what we would call like traditional hip hop, like the boom bap of old? Is there still a market for that? Is there still an infrastructure for it?
There's always going to be a market for it, but I couldn't really tell you how. You know, like if you're talking about boom bap, let's be honest, boom bap is niche.
Yeah.
You understand?
Still got niche.
So it's probably always going to stay niche. Maybe one artist might do some boom bap and then he's gone again. But I mean, if you're talking about boom bap, that is niche. So there is a niche market for that because there are some true hip hop heads that love that music.
Yeah. And I think even then that kind of transformed into the kind of like jazz rap element. You're like your Kofi Stones, for example, those kind of guys. So I guess it does show that as long as it's willing to evolve, there's always going to be a market for any genre of music.
It's evolving for the people's ears.
Yeah.
Do you get me? They don't want to hear a beat that sounded big in 94.
Yeah.
You need to evolve the music and cater to people now. And obviously the sounds we got now are more advanced. Technology is more advanced. So if you can advance the music but keep the key elements, then there's definitely a market.
I mean, I don't know if you listen to much Griselda, for example. I'd say they're a big example of guys who've...
But that's the American market. And it's completely different. And it was West Side Gun. It was his idea and his understanding of how to market himself. And he was very unique. He pushed it. But actually just the music itself, that is brilliant. And they changed a lot of the industry, how people sound in America, and brought a lot of... Lloyd Banks came out because of Griselda. Ransom is doing his thing because of Griselda. So, but that's more of an American setting. But I definitely feel Griselda changed the game.